much more self-aware than he lets on in public. Look, I get it. It doesn't matter who he is at a private dinner with a comedian. It matters who he is on the world stage. I'm just taking as a positive that this person exists, because everything I've ever not liked about him was, I swear to God, absent, at least on this night with this guy. Bob, Kid Rock, told me the night before, he said, if you want to get a word in edgewise, you're going to have to cut him off. He'll just go on. Not at all. I've had so many conversations with prominent people who are much less connected, people who don't look you in the eye, people who don't really listen because they just want to get to their next thing, people whose response to things you say just doesn't track, like, what? None of that with him. And he mostly steered the conversation to, what do you think about this? I know, your mind is blown, so is mine.
Is one of the most effective politicians, whatever you think of the policy and him as a person, just as a politician.
I have no power, I'm a fucking comedian, and he's the most powerful leader in the world. I'm not the leader of anything, except maybe a contingent of centrist-minded people who think there's got to be a better way of running this country than hating each other every minute. So, meet up in person. Maybe it'll be different. Spoiler alert, it was. A lot of people told me they loved it, but not all. And we agreed. The people who don't even want us to talk, we don't like you. Don't talk, as opposed to what? Writing the same editorial for the millionth time and making 25-hour speeches into the wind? Really, that's what liberals have? He takes the piss out of everybody else and we can hold ours? Okay, that's my report. You can hate me for it, but I'm not a liar.
He's much more self-aware than he lets on in public. Look, I get it. What matters isn't who he is at a private dinner with a comedian. It's who he is on the world stage. But I have to say, I took it as a positive that this version of him exists. Everything I've ever disliked about him was, I swear to God, absent, at least on that night. Bob, Kid Rock, told me the night before, if you want to get a word in edgewise, you're going to have to cut him off. He just keeps going. But that wasn't the case at all. I've had so many conversations with prominent people far less connected, who don't even make eye contact, who don't really listen because they're just waiting to move on to their next thing. Their responses don't even track with what you said. But none of that was true with him. He mostly steered the conversation with curiosity, asking things like, what do you think about this? It was refreshing. And I get it. It blows your mind. Mine too. Say what you will about him. But in terms of political effectiveness, he's one of the most capable politicians out there. That doesn't mean you have to love the policies or the person, but just in terms of pure political force, he's unmatched. I'm not a person of power, I'm a comedian. He's the most powerful leader in the world. I don't lead anything except maybe a contingent of centrist-minded folks who believe there has to be a better way to run this country than hating each other every second. So yeah, we met in person. Maybe it'd be different, I thought. Spoiler, it was. A lot of people told me they loved it, but not everyone. And we agreed. The people who don't even want us to talk, we're not interested in that. They'd rather write the same editorial for the millionth time or give 25-hour speeches into the void. That's what liberals have become. He takes the piss out of everyone.
Before I left for the Capitol, I had my staff collect and print out this list of almost 60 different insulting epithets that the president has said about me. Things like stupid, dummy, lowlife dummy, sleazebag, sick, sad, stone cold crazy. Really a dumb guy, fired like a dog, his show is dead. There's 60. I brought this to the White House because I wanted him to sign it, which he did. Which he did with good humor. And I know as I say that, millions of liberal sphincters just tightened.
Here's a good one. Before I left for the Capitol, I had my staff print out a list of nearly 60 different insults the president has hurled at me over the years. Things like stupid, dummy, lowlife, sleazebag, sick, sad, stone cold crazy, really a dumb guy, fired like a dog, and this show is dead. 60 in total. I actually brought the list to the White House and asked them to sign it, which he did with good humor. And I know as I say that, a million liberal sphincters just clenched. What I've always admired about Trump is that he's been the same guy for over 40 years. Straightforward, unapologetic, and consistent. And that's exactly what the wokies still don't get. They keep acting shocked, as if he suddenly changed. But nothing about him really has. What's really driving them nuts right now is Bill Maher entering the picture. The fact that he, of all people, is shifting the way many are starting to see Trump, it's honestly hilarious. And just when you think it couldn't get any crazier, Trump takes Bill Maher on a tour and jokingly calls one area the room of Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
I like Bill Maher's show, but this is the Trump that we have all seen. He actually has a great sense of humor, and that's the thing that I think late night television has missed in destroying itself. Congratulations, Greg Gutfeld. The reason you have the huge audience you have is because you're funny. And these guys have become, in many ways, political activists with late night humor. But, man, if they had leaned into Trump in a funny way, he will play it up. He actually has a great sense of humor. And I give credit to Bill Maher, whoever had the idea to print out all the insults. But that is Trump just signing it. And here's the other thing, guys. If Trump could have presented Bill Maher with all the insults that Bill Maher has made about him, and he gets over it. He doesn't hold grudges, which I think is probably the most unique thing about Trump. I mean, heck, his vice president said that he had Hitler tendencies, and now he's a heartbeat away, right?
This is exactly the kind of thing the wokies will never show you. Think about it. Trump didn't have to push, beg, or twist anything, and yet he completely shifted Bill Maher's perspective. That alone speaks volumes. It shows just how powerful Trump's influence really is, and why so many people are starting to rethink everything they've been told.
I didn't forgive people. I'd have like no friends or something to that effect. You know, you're right about that.
Yeah.
The left has missed an opportunity in late night TV, but politicians on the left and even some on the right are missing the opportunity to learn. This is how politics is done. Be real. I mean, that's one of the things that Bill Maher talked about a lot in his sort of post recap of this meeting was the guy is very real. He said, I've been around Democrats and I agree with them in politics, and they are much harder to talk to. They look away. They're not really interested in what I have to say. I felt like Donald Trump was a real person. I could disagree with him. I could look him in the eye. We could have a real discussion. Here's another bit of Bill Maher sharing his experience from meeting Donald Trump at the White House.
When I got there, that guy wasn't living there. Now, does Trump want respect? Of course. Who doesn't? My friend said to me, what are you going to wear to the White House? I said, I don't know, but I'm not going to dress like Zelensky, I'll tell you that. He's much more self-aware than he lets on in public. Look, I get it. It doesn't matter who he is at a private dinner with a comedian. It matters who he is on the world stage. I'm just taking as a positive that this person exists, because everything I've ever not liked about him was, I swear to God, absent, at least on this night with this guy. I never felt I had to walk on eggshells around him. And honestly, I voted for
This is absolutely crazy. And if it didn't hit you the first time, go back and watch it again. It clearly shows just how much the mainstream media has shaped the narrative by only focusing on the negative side of Trump. If you're still on the fence, watch this video all the way through. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more content that actually shows a full picture.
Popular these days.
It is. And it's also emblematic of the kind of deals he's making right now. Yeah. He gets on the phone with people. He knows how to connect. His, social intelligence, to me, is off the charts.
I think that's true, Rachel. And also, authenticity destroys cancel culture. Mm-hmm. People have gotten used to who Trump is. And I think what Bill Maher saw is what the American public as a whole has come to see. You don't have to agree with the guy on everything, but he's not pretending to be something that he isn't. And that's what stood out to me. A lot of politicians, Obama, Hillary Clinton, actually pretend to be something they aren't. Remember, why did Bill Clinton get away with having an affair with an intern in the Oval Office? Because deep down, people were like, I can kind of see him doing that. Yeah. Right? I mean, it's not a good authenticity, but he was representative of what people thought. And I love this because it's destroying cancel culture.
And Trump listens because he is interested in people.
That's right.
Which is a huge difference.
What really stands out here is that character has nothing to do with being on the right or the left. The truth is, The left has been so wrapped up in fake news, they've completely lost their grip on reality. They've traded honesty for headlines, and now they can't even see what's right in front of them.
Married couple who are exactly the portrait of a liberal white couple living in Park Slope, Brooklyn that you would expect, wind up moving upstate and then are surrounded by Trumpers, and they're petrified. But then, when they get stuck in the snow, the Trump guy down the street doesn't hesitate to help dig the liberals out. The author, Larissa Phillips, says she slowly came to reject the political prejudice so common among my tribe, and that it's hard to care where someone stands on politics when they race to your house to save a dying lamb, when their wife helps search for your runaway dogs, and that she personally has been stunned by the depth of my neighbor's generosity. It's almost like there are fine people on both sides.
And this is exactly what Bill Maher seemed to feel during his time with Donald J. Trump. You could see it. The shift was real. And man, I've never seen Bill Maher's crowd cheer that hard for Trump's true character. It was one of those rare moments where you think, maybe, just maybe, we're starting to see a little bit of the left come back to reality.
Moments when I hit him with a joke or contradicted something, and no problem. At dinner, he was asking me about the nuclear situation in Iran in a very genuine, hey, I think you're a smart guy, I want your opinion sort of way. And I said, well, obviously you're privy to things about it, I'm not, but for what it's worth, I thought the Obama deal was worth letting play out because we made Iran destroy 98% of the uranium and they were 15 years away from a bomb. And then I said to him, but we got rid of that. You got rid of that. He didn't get mad or call me a left-wing lunatic. He took it in. I told him I thought parts of his plan for Gaza were wacky, but that I had supported him in the idea that Gaza could be Dubai instead of hell. I told him he was wrong when he tweeted the night before that I was critical of all things Trump. Not true. Check the tapes. Moving Israel's embassy to Jerusalem, loved it. The border did need to be controlled. I'm glad the cops are getting their morale back. DEI had gone too far. Biological men shouldn't be playing women's sports. Europe should pay for their defense. And of course, it makes sense that Arab countries should take in Arab refugees, like the million Syrians who wound up in Germany when Saudi Arabia took none. He said to me, you're right, they took none. I said, well, you should remind your boyfriend in Saudi Arabia that the next time you see him.
This is exactly why I respect Bill Maher. He's the kind of person who says what he truly believes, even if it goes against a narrative. And of course, now the woke mob is trying to cancel him for it. Why? Because he's not playing by their rules anymore. They're one-sided, trapped in their wild takes on Trump, and completely detached from reality.
Walk on eggshells around him. And honestly, I voted for Clinton and Obama, but I would never feel comfortable talking to them the way I was able to talk with Donald Trump. That's just how it went down. Make of it what you will. Me, I feel it's emblematic of why the Democrats are so unpopular these days. He was even okay when I checked him on the orangutan lawsuit. He was. No, he said to Dana White, you know, Bill said my father was an orangutan, and I really love my father. And I said, well, Mr. President, I did that because I didn't like what you were doing regarding Obama's birth origins. I thought that was low. Again, no anger, just a little smile as if to say, yeah, I get it. The most surreal part of the whole night was when I got home. I flew back right after the dinner, and I'm in bed watching 60 Minutes from the night before. And there's Trump in one of their stories, standing at a podium in a room that looked to me like one of the rooms and places we'd just been in. And he's ranting, disgusting, you're a terrible person. And I'm like, who's that guy? What happened to Glinda the Good Witch?
And this video will remain here forever as proof of what a true patriotic president looks like. Huge thanks to Bill Maher for showing us all of this and helping expose the truth about our president.
So MAGA fans, don't worry. Your boy gave me nothing. Just hats. hats and a very generous amount of time and a willingness to listen and accept me as a possible friend, even though I'm not MAGA, which was the point of the dinner. My favorite part of the whole night was we were standing in the blowjob room. We were. And he said, you know, I've heard from a lot of people who really like that we're having this dinner. Not all, but a lot. And I said, same. A lot of people told me they loved it, but not all. And we agreed. The people who don't even want us to talk, we don't like you. Don't talk, as opposed to what? Writing the same editorial for the millionth time and making 25-hour speeches into the wind? Really, that's what liberals have? He takes the piss out of everybody else and we can hold ours? Okay.
Thanks for watching, and if you loved the video, don't forget to like and subscribe.